So a while ago, I would say probably well over a year ago at this point. My time things are all fucked up. All I spend every single day almost the same, so time just passes really quickly. It's like when you initially get out of school and then it's the summer and you feel like, oh man, I got all of the summer to do all of this awesome shit. And then before you know it, the summer is completely over because you sat around and just did all the same shit every single day. At least that's how mine went. I don't know. I thought I would have all this time, and then before I knew it, I was already back in school. That fucking hit marker ruined everything. For some reason, I'm finding it actually more and more difficult to hard scope on these Call of Duties where it's considered, you know, quote, easier to snipe people or whatever. From like World War II, Black Ops 3, all of the recent Call of Duties that have no aim assist onto this game, you would think like you would just completely shit on people, and it's kind of the case, but it feels really weird to... It feels like the more time that I take to try to take a shot at somebody, the less accurate I'm going to be on these games in particular. Like on these games, I'd be able to pop shot people, but can't hard scope them for shit. Back on World War II, I felt like I could do both. Black Ops 3, I don't feel like I could do either, so yeah, there's that. So yeah, as I was saying, about a year, maybe even more than that, I don't know. I talked about this online Pokemon game at that time. I forget the name completely now at this point, but there's a whole bunch of other people that ended up getting on that Pokemon game, and the chat was filled with shit, and the mods were getting mad at me, and people were surrounding me, wasn't able to play the game correctly, and blah, blah, blah. All sorts of crazy shit happened that I didn't really foresee. I know that seems like common sense now, that it's just like, it's stupid of me to actually believe that there would be no repercussion, but all I did was talk about the game, and then people, you know, went and figured out, you know, how to play it and download and all that bullshit. Although I did encourage people to play it, I didn't encourage them, however, to start talking shit to mods, and it was pretty bad. That actually hit me. Wait, wait. There's another Pokemon game that Andre and JT and everybody's playing. I haven't been playing the game, but basically it's almost the same exact thing as the last Pokemon game, an online Pokemon game. Get to see all the other people playing in the world and stuff. You can battle each other, trade, all that bullshit. At least from what I know. Obviously, there are some changes in between, but generally, it's the same kind of game. Just like Pokemon has always been, you know? If you play Pokemon once, you can kind of get a general idea of what you're supposed to be doing with, obviously, some changes. So I haven't been playing. I've just been hearing about people playing, but I've had this irrational fear, I guess. I guess it's irrational, but so when you're playing Pokemon and you want to go and catch a Pokemon, obviously you want to go and weaken them, throw a Pokeball at them or whatever. Everybody knows it'll go from, you know, Pokeball, at least, you know, the older Pokemon anyway. For me, I always had this strong belief, at least on like Ruby and Sapphire, I always had this belief that the Great Ball was better than the Ultra Ball. Even though I know statistically the Ultra Ball is the better version of it and it has a higher catch chance, I had a lot more, I guess, luck and success with a Great Ball as compared to Ultra Balls. All of that is kind of irrelevant, but I kind of want to talk about balls. So I think I told this story before, but back when I was in school, it was like grade school, like before middle school, all that shit. And I remember that I met a kid, I don't even remember what his name was, but I remember meeting a kid that had a Game Shark, okay? And the Game Shark back then was kind of like, you're able to cheat, basically, but not really use extreme exploits for everything, I guess. Like, you could use a Game Shark on, like, the Tony Hawk games I played, and all you could really do is make your character in these crazy ways and change your name different colors and shit like that, but that's really about it. I saw at one point when he was playing, and he was talking to me about how high level his Pokemon are and all sorts of shit, and he showed me his Game Shark, and I thought it was, like, the coolest fucking thing ever. I was like, I don't even know how old I was. Super young. So to me, mods were like the coolest thing ever. He told me that he'd be able to get me like infinite Master Balls, infinite rare candy, shit like that. So I gave him my Game Boy. Brings it back to me with like a shit ton of Master Balls, shit ton of rare candies, all of the skills in the game, all the TMs and stuff, so I could teach every single Pokemon whatever the fuck I want, everything. And ever since that point, I've had more experience being able to use a Master Ball in Pokemon games. So back then, I think you could only get like one Master Ball, and you would usually use it to catch a Legendary. Most people would end up using it on, you know, the Legendary at the end of the game. I would save it for, you know, other legendaries in the game, so I didn't have to play the game the same way every single time. I've replayed so many Pokemon games so many times ever since I was a kid that it's just gross. So every single Pokemon that I came across, I would just throw a Master Ball at them because I just actually started to catch them all because I just knew that I could, guaranteed. But eventually, I started developing this irrational fear that a Master Ball just won't work. So if you haven't played Pokemon and you want to go and catch a Pokemon, obviously, you go and weaken the Pokemon and then you throw a certain ball at it. Now, these balls, you get the chance to be able to capture it. And some Pokeballs are better than other Pokeballs. Talking about Pokemon on a Call of Duty video. I've done this shit for years. So if you want a higher chance of getting a Pokemon, the best option is to just throw a Master Ball at it. You don't even need to do any damage to it. You just throw the Master Ball at it. They cannot break out. At least that's what it is by definition. I don't know if in the history of Pokemon, Master Ball has ever failed, but I started getting this irrational fear that a Master Ball just wouldn't work. So every time that I would go to capture like something as simple as like a fucking Rattata, I had this fear that the Rattata would just break out of it and waste my Master Ball. Even though, I mean, I had had an infinite amount, but it's just an irrational fear, okay? Like, I got destroyed by that throwing knife. Eventually, obviously, you know, using cheats and mods and shit like that back then, it definitely lowered the longevity of the game and the replay value when I could just, you know, capture every single Pokemon, be able to use any Pokemon at any point, be able to have the option to restart the game over with all of my level 99 Pokemon and then play through the gyms again. Like, there was just so much shit that I could do just from that Game Shark. It was hilarious. That was like the one and only time I ever actually did anything that had anything to do with mods, and even then I had no idea what I was doing. I handed it over to the other kid and then he did it for me. I never really knew how to do it myself. I thought that was like some next level hacking type of shit, so obviously my grandmother wouldn't buy something for me that she thought that I was cheating with or modding with or able to break my game with type of shit. So I remember that you had to input some codes and shit like that into the Game Shark. There was another one too that wasn't a Game Shark that was considered better, but I don't remember what it's called at this point. Let's fucking throw a knife, dude. Last night I raged off of Fortnite, and I actually haven't had any bad dreams or any dreams in general in a few months at this point. I don't know why. It's just I sometimes have these months where I have no dreams at all, and then another few months where I have dreams absolutely like every single night about just random ass shit, whether it's like dying, whether they're nightmares, whether they're actual like really good dreams, where I'm like flying around in the air or falling off a building, all sorts of shit. You know how dreams go. The shit doesn't always really make sense. They tell you that certain things can mean certain other things, but it's just, it feels really random. I think I was so angry that I managed to actually have a pretty bad dream. I don't remember what the dream was about. All I know is that I woke up mentally exhausted already. So that's how you know a dream was intense. You already woke up feeling like you've gone through a whole day. I know it sounds really bad or negative or whatever whenever I say it like that, but you know what I mean. By the time you get there to the end of the day, sometimes you just want to do absolutely nothing. You just had enough things to, you know, worry about for the day. You're kind of done with it. You just want to go and concentrate on something else that you're actually interested in. Wasn't this guy using a sniper rifle last game? Actually, earlier this game. It stresses me out with, you know, how bad I am at Fortnite that my emotions are directly attached to whether or not I'm going to win that game. And I've been trying to separate myself emotionally from the game so I can actually concentrate and improve on it. I've never been bad at a game that everybody else is really good at. To not be good at a game where it seems like everybody is at least somewhat decent and watchable, I just feel like I'm so unwatchable that I just want to just trying to figure out how to disconnect myself emotionally and be able to just grind and play. Like, see, the difference between me trying to get good at Call of Duty, you know, Call of Duty was on the come up and everything, is that even though I got angry and I was emotionally attached to the game, I was still able to continue playing it. Now, I know that that sounds really destructive and unhealthy, but see, here's the difference between myself then and now is even though then I didn't know how to really just go and make myself stop, I made videos out of it and shit. In that time that I was still making all those videos on the game, I was still constantly improving. On Fortnite, what happens is I get on the game, I want to improve at the game, I get angry at the game, and instead of continuing to play, I will get off. I will get so angry that I'll get off and not be able to improve the rest of the night. So what I need to do is somehow detach myself emotionally and just play Fortnite off video or whatever. Obviously, you know, turn the emotions back on whenever I'm playing because you don't want to watch just a robot, but I have to figure out how to turn that switch off. I have to. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. My most recent videos are popping up on the screen here. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed, and yeah, it's been Jev, guys. Later.
What?